Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Man, I still love that intro. Shout out to Julie once again for putting that together there. It gets me hyped up, Chris. Talk about some comics.
A little bit of heat on these cold days.
That's right. And today we got episode 208 of Comic Shop Talk. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that like button, that thumbs up button. You can hit us up in the comments to add on to something we've talked about, or maybe, let us know about something maybe we're not reading or talking about. Not that we have a lack of things to read or talk about here. But yes, as I mentioned, make sure you're subscribed and check out some of the other content here on the channel. There's a bunch of other comic episodes of things as well, and movie stuff, all kinds of things here. Over 1,000 videos of stuff here on the Late Night Chat Network. And today we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of December 3rd, 2025. We are a weekly comic book review show, and this is where me and Chris get together and we talk about what we've read week to week, and then we show off some of the art, give you our thoughts and comments on stuff. We give you our ratings on them. You will pick a favorite of the week to let you know what we're looking forward to talk about next week. Sometimes we get into some comic book news or showing off some hauls, all kinds of great stuff here. And as always, spoiler warning, be forewarned, we are going to get into what happens in the books here today. So if you're worried about getting spoiled, you can always read your books and then come back and check us out another time. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, first up on the docket here today, we got DCKO Night Fight number 2. What do you think of this, Chris?
Well, I really enjoyed the first issue. It kind of dropped Bruce Wayne Batman in some wacky world, and you didn't really know what's going on, and it looks like some crazy things were happening. And I thought this was going to, I thought the whole series was going to sort of continue. And I don't know if I'm wrong here or not, but it seems like the way Batman, this was, the solicitations were basically saying Batman's going to be fighting all these sort of different Robins that sort of become Batman. And I don't want to say this one lost me, but I kind of really like this world that was in the first issue. And now it just seems to be, I don't know how they explain it, but they're not real. And I don't know if this is just in his memory or something, or how these are working, or where he's going to. So I thought that was a bit of a letdown for me there. But otherwise, it's still a great looking issue, and I'll be in there for the ride.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you said there. I also felt this lost a little bit of steam for me because I don't know, the direction of the story. Like you said, it was not what I was expecting from this. And then by the end of this, it seems like what is this thing that they keep referencing, like the creator of the games or whatever? What is the name of that they're using? I forgot what the person's called because they mentioned it in DCKO Superman versus Captain Atom as well. But I guess whoever is the person that's the heart. That's what they're
the heart. Yeah. The heart. It seems to be sentient,
right?
And it's the one sending him through this. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a little hokey for me.
So they're kind of like setting the playing field kind of for them. Like it's like almost like the Game Master or whatever, like in the Marvel Comics Secret Wars, whatever. What's his name? The guy who's basically, orchestrating everything essentially in that, right? So basically it's something similar in the sense that like he's creating realities and worlds for them to fight in. And it's touched on in the next book we're going to talk about as well. And this is kind of where we're finally seeing that kind of like a little bit fleshed out outside of the DCKO title. And so that was kind of weird that in this, like I read this and I was like, at the end, like he's turning into Clayface and like he's not Clayface, but I guess he's able to kind of like tap into whatever's going on.
Yeah, like kind of the rules of the worlds that he ends up in. And
yeah, it was weird. I do want to say one thing though, and I feel like for a while now we're just like, hey, Dan Mora drew this, he's great. What more can you say? He's doing something different here with his art. Like I gotta give it up to this guy because like this is this is even better, I feel like, than some of the art like some of these things he's been doing, because the guy draws like 3 books a month. He's definitely maybe cutting some corners. I don't want to say he's cutting corners because they still all look great. He's getting away with it if he is, but it's more like this one was, I would say, a little bit more detailed than what I've seen from him as of recently. And he's also like playing around with some like other techniques. Like he's doing some shading in some of these scenes here. Like you see, like it almost reminded me of like a Frank Miller Dark Knight style almost, like here. Like there's like certain shading techniques and stuff that he's using in his art here that I really liked. And I just feel this looked different in certain scenes. I'm sure by like, on purpose. He was trying to like do different maybe art styles throughout Batman history or something.
Yeah, maybe every different world he goes into, it's almost like these worlds aren't even completely rendered. It's only whatever's happening is what's happening in these worlds, and that's it.
Yeah, but I was really impressed by this, like even more so than normally with Mora. I was like, look at this page. Like there's some really nice looking stuff here where if you showed me this, I don't necessarily think I would think of Mora necessarily. Even like the layouts, like he's really stretching it a bit in terms of like, I feel like his style that we're used to, like it's just very clean and probably traditional majority of the time. He's kind of playing around with some stuff here, which I really dug. I think he's knocking it out of the park in terms of the art on this one. Like it's, we're seeing him over on Transformers now. We're also seeing him pop up in other DC stuff, but this is probably the best thing I've seen him like do in a while. I thought this was a standout in terms of Mora, where I feel like we just take for granted now because the guy draws like everything. So, yeah, good stuff in terms of the art. I actually quite like the art more than a story, the direction of the story, I would say, for this one. So I wanted to mention that. What'd you give this in terms of ratings, Chris?
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.75.
Yeah, I'll give it a bump for the art. Otherwise, I think this would be like a 3.5 out of 5, honestly. But I'm still in for the duration. Next up, you got DCKO Superman versus Captain Atom #1.
Yeah, finally, we got some of these fights going on, and there's no teases there. I was a little worried when you kind of see some of the background pages where, I don't know if they're still talking about that board game they're playing here. I don't know if it's in this one or not. But, I guess some of the rules of the fight come out here. It looks like it's a best 2 out of 3. And it seems they can kind of choose whoever they want to be. So that was a fun fight. And, this Captain Atom looks like he had Superman on the ropes there in that first fight. He just freaking, it's almost like a cakewalk for him. I think he turned himself into kryptonite or some time thing and then just kind of just sucked him dry. It's like, whoa, what's Superman going to do here to come back from this? And, I guess Superman sort of outsmarts him. I forgot what he does in those next 2 fights, but that was a fun read. And this KO is turning out to be a pretty good event.
This is a lot of fun, this issue. And my favorite part about it is that they could select different versions of themselves throughout like continuity. Because Superman picks like some Superman Prime version of himself, which is like I recognized as the Superman that's all gold that goes up into the sun at the end of Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. Like that's like something that they touch on, is that the fact that that he's going to turn into this Superman at some point. And that's kind of brought up here. Like you get to see that. I think he was in like some other DC event, DC 1 million or something at some point, but they yeah, so that was cool to see like different versions, and you see them behind him. Like he can be like the blue electric Superman from like the 90s. And I really liked that. I don't know what these other versions of Captain Atom that he turned into are, but the fact that they're able to do that and have actual KOs and rounds and everything like that, it's a hell of a lot of fun. This is just like a fun smash 'em up comic, and I'm here for the ride. It was really fun to see this. Honestly, I feel like Captain Atom should have whooped his ass, though. He's way more powerful, I feel like, than Superman, but he got lucky there. Superman like stole his powers and like used them against him at some point. Yeah. So otherwise, I think he would have been toast, because Captain Atom can just like alter reality and stuff, right? So it's like he's basically Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, essentially, right? Like in terms of his power. So I feel like Superman would be outdone there when it comes to him in terms of power state. But that's what's fun about this event, though. This is just like old school, like, this character should be able to beat this character, like nerdy comic book type shit going on here, right? So what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. I thought it was a fun ride.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll join you on that. 4 out of 5. I did have a lot of fun with this one. If I gave the last one 3.75, I'll give a 4 to this. Next up, we got Amazing X-Men number 3.
Yep. This is. I hope this is. Was this a 3 of 5 or?
No, for some reason on the solicits I looked at last week, it said that, but at the end of this, it says that the conclusion is happening in the finale and the other the Revelation book. So thank God for that, because it's not 5. Yes, yeah, it was a mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know this one. It's better than most of them, and it sort of follows more of a mainline story. But when they're sort of having the Psylocke and kind of talking about what's going on, and then she's going through her history there of why she's doing what she's doing. And, she was revealed that there was a traitor there, and when she kind of makes the reveal of who the traitor is, I'm like, so what? They seem to build up into that it was some like earth-shattering reveal there. And, all their expressions like, okay, so what is whatever Revelation's wife, and then whatever she told him, that's going to make her a marked person. And she revealed that Revelation's plan is to basically take over the world. Like, who didn't think that was what his plan was going to be?
Right.
But anyways, and I guess they run into some of the other choristers or seraphims, and she tries to pull a fast one on there, tries to pull some rank, but I don't think they're buying it. And, we'll see what goes on. Not great.
Yeah. Like you said, it was... Since this one and the other Revelation book, which is showing the apocalypse side of stuff, and now by the end of this issue, it seems like everything's coming to an end, into a head, and the finale is going to follow that. I'm just glad it's not going to be like a 6-month endeavor here. Honestly, it's fine, and like you said, this is probably the better of the books in terms of the direction that it's going to for driving the story and the tie-ins as a result. But it's pretty, I really like the first issue out the gate, but now I'm just like, yeah, it's just fine. It's nothing special about it. And I'm just glad that it's not taking forever. I think I might be off X-Men. I think if I know there's some new titles coming out as always that we'll try for the show's sake, at least, that are coming out of the woodworks in the next few months. But in terms of main book X-Men stuff, I'm not interested in what they're selling us anymore. It's just, this was a nice little diversion, but this didn't even keep me around for looking forward to the future. Right.
So, yeah. And then I think what they're going to is now when they go back to the main line is they're going to try and prevent this from happening now. And it's even, the story's even going to continue more.
I know.
It's like, wolf.
I know.
Yeah, but and it looks what Apocalypse shows up at the end.
Yeah.
So it looks like the big throwdown at the end of this might be Apocalypse versus Revelation. Oh yay! I'll give it 3.5. That's generous.
Yeah, I agree. 3.5 out of 5. But I can even go 3.25 honestly. But
yeah, the thought was dancing in there.
Yeah. And then you read Binary this week, number 3, to conclude this one.
One of the tie-ins, I don't know why they wasted 3 issues for this. So where we left off is, Binary was sort of in dire straits. Madeline Pryor's out there to steal the Phoenix Force. And I guess the Phoenix Force sort of revealed itself and as another entity here. So they're both sort of battling Madeline Pryor. She seems to have them on the ropes. And I think the town, or some of the side story there is the town that Binary was protecting. They felt like they were being trapped, and then the person who kind of turned everybody against Binary reveals that he was just lying, and that he's not sure that's why they're if they're being saved or what's going on with the X virus. Everybody's thinking it might be a free, safe world out there, and then I think at that point, what was it? They're about Madeline Pryor sort of about to finish off Binary, and then the townspeople, kind of stand up to Madeline Pryor like that's going to do anything. So then she sort of bursts a hole in their bubble, and the virus sort of sneaks in, and it turns out that Phoenix Force takes on the body of Jean Grey, and and that explains that Jean Grey is now just a concept and it's not really her, but it is her. And what Binary and Jean Grey have to sort of combine their forces to merge to take down Madeline Pryor, and that would be at the cost of Binary's life. So at the end of this, she's dead. That's why this could have been one issue. It might have been more impactful, but it's all the things we've talked about before. It just followed along with that and didn't get any better. I give this a 3.25. Some decent art.
Yeah, the art looks nice.
Characters, but just a story that did need to be told.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't read this, but I actually know I read the first issue, but the art does look nice, but that's not enough to save it necessarily.
Yeah. So basically now Phoenix, like Jean Grey's Phoenix, is now protecting this town. And why wouldn't she go out there against Revelation? I think the Phoenix Force has got some juice there. Maybe that'll come into play in the final battle. Who knows?
Right. Okay. Next up, we got Ultimate Universe 2 years in #1. This one here.
Oof, I don't know. This one was trouble too for me.
Yeah, same. I wish I didn't buy it, but here we are.
Yeah, these 2 years. Then I was look forward to last year. I thought this one, since the Ultimate Universe was ending, it might kind of, just set up some of the storylines and then introduce the whole brand new storyline, which is absolutely just crazy. Like, I don't know what to say. Who came up with this Beyonder Daredevil? Like, what the heck was that?
Right.
And I don't know. And then that Ultron or Ultron 82, so they call him U82, and then it's like you ought to, like the Watcher. Oh, nice play on words. But I don't think you're not going to build a comic around that play on words. It's just what they seem like they did here. And I guess the plan was that they were going to send the Watcher to some dead or the Watcher, the Maker, into some dead dimension, and I don't know what the hell. Their spaceship was powered by hope, and they had no hope. When you see the previews for this, this could be something here. And then when you read it, it's like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed, let down by this one as well. Yeah, this is kind of, I guess, touching on like bringing back the characters, the Guardians version that they had within the Ultimates book into like its own little one shot. But like Chris had said, I feel like this is a weird story to kind of bring into play when we're kind of getting into gear to bring it all home and kind of, wrap up this storyline that they've been building for the last couple of years. And I feel like this is just further proving the fact that they're just completely have been spinning their wheels in terms of the plot on this Ultimate series and the direction for this universe, if it actually is coming to an end, because this has nothing to do with the central characters of the Ultimates or stuff that's going on with the universe. It's now reintroducing these characters and talking about stuff that's happening outside of the universe and how they were trying to save the universe this whole time from this thing happening with the Maker, which is still moving forward and still happening. So really, at the end of the day, this was a whole lot of nothing of an issue. Like that's what I got from this. I'm like, okay, so nothing changed here. I was like, got it.
Yeah.
But there was some fun ideas in here and some cool characters, but it all really just equals out to, like I said, a whole bunch of nothing in the grand scheme of things. Also, there's like 5 fucking artists on this issue. Like, come on now. Like, it's a lot of different artists. Like, you had Phil Noto in there and you had some other artists, but like, I just think that there was honestly like 3 or 4 artists on this issue. Like, then the art style, like this one, when they introduced the Daredevil, just go, wildly different in terms of style compared to the other stuff, which sometimes works. But I just felt like this was a little out of place here. Yeah.
Like it went to like Marvel Age or something, like a
tryout issue.
Magazine or something here.
Yeah. So, and then, I guess there's some like fourth wall breaking stuff going on with this character. I don't know. Like it's, the way they're showing the panels and everything. But again, if they are ending these books, little too late to bring in some of these characters. Maybe you should focus on the ones we've already introduced in the.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
Yeah, 3.25. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I read my mind. Yeah, I wanted to like it more. Because what was the last one? Wasn't it that Nick Fury one where he was like, he thought he was helping out and it was like turned out
Yeah, it was like a life model decoy or something.
fantastic issue. I think that was my favorite of the week when it came out. That was great. Like,
Well, that gave you hope too. Oh, maybe Nick Fury's going to show. You never heard of Nick Fury ever again.
you know. I really dropped the ball, honestly, on this plot. I like this storyline, honestly. Thank God Spider-Man has been off doing its own thing and it has nothing to do with this Ultimate storyline, because they've really dropped the ball the second half of this story. Like, it was almost like they're like, yeah, we got about a year's worth of stories here. Okay, we need you to stretch it out over 2 years' time, and then we're going to wrap everything up. Oh, okay, I guess I can do that. So yeah, I know they always said it was going to be 2 years, but it just hasn't felt like it. It felt like he had a year's worth of stories in that series, and we're getting it all spread out, and there's all these like nothing issues that we've been getting fed lately.
Yeah, like since that those Avengers got killed in whatever episodes or issue 6 with that Hulk thing, and then what? They've just been hiding ever since. Just hacking online through doing their ultimate.net or something.
Yeah.
What the hell's Hulk doing? This guy's supposed to be all powerful too. He looked like he was pretty badass in that issue, and he just freaking disappeared off the face of the earth as well.
I know. I had somebody tell me the other day they just read Ultimate what was it, Invasion or whatever that series is, the one that's everything up by Hickman.
Yeah.
And he's just like, man, I loved that. I'm just like, oh, enjoy it now.
Great, enjoy it.
I'm like, wow, it's such a great setup, right? He's like, yeah, what I got to read now? The Ultimates? I'm like, yeah, I got it.
Tell me Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimates 1 to 6.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say like, yeah, maybe even like up to 10 or 12, like around there. No, actually, no, that's when it started going off the rails. Yeah, 1 to 6 is a safe, I think, a safe break point. All right, G.I. Joe number 15. Continuing the Dreadnought.
Let's see if Image can save us.
Yeah.
Got my issue here. Read the 14. I missed that last time. Yeah, this Dreadnought war, this Dreadnought war, I was a little worried about it.
Good
I
stuff.
thought it was going to be baloney, but I don't know. It's hitting some spots here. It's a bit of a Mad Max, a bit of I don't know what. And this one here, I guess they've escaped they're escaping from like the Dreadnought army that's chasing them down, and then they go into this small town, and I don't know. This just reminds me of like Pulp Fiction or something. There's like Pulp Fiction crossing Mad Max, and I don't know this. Whatever. I don't know what Duke was up to. He's hanging out by the car, and he sends Cobra Commander to search out the town. And I hear some voice crying in the corner. Cobra Commander goes and checks out, and he gets freaking walloped. I'm surprised he survived that. He just kind of seemed to get dragged away. And then Duke gets up with them, and I don't think he fares any better. And then of course you get the Dreadnought showing up, and you thought he was going to wallop them too. I was under the impression that they'd all be like tied up together, and all of these people would have to work together trying to escape this guy. But once they come to, you see the Ripper and the other Dreadnought. He's there, and they're all having a great old time because he likes grape soda, and they came to an understanding.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. Then I guess we got the story with Destro there. He's trying to take over Cobra Commander a little prematurely, and he's cutting deals. And of course, there seems to be like the U.S. government always likes to be involved in shady practices, and it looks like they might be cutting some deals with Destro too to get some weapons there. And they do reference the robots there, where Destro goes, "Look, I got some weapons. You got a robot problem. We might need each other." And looks like we're gonna have Clutch and CoverGirl. Is it? They're gonna be going out looking for Duke, and I think they might be bringing their Transformer friend with them. So let's see what's going on here. It's good stuff all around.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is great. I think this is the best this book has ever been. I'm loving the storyline. There's some brutal scenes. There's some great dialogue between characters and exchanges. like, the whole thing with like Cobra Commander, like you said, being strung up like Pulp Fiction style, these two talking it out in the dark, how horrific they notice that he is without his helmet on, how he talks about how he doesn't want to be human, but he's like, part snake, part human, or whatever the hell he is, right? That it's interesting stuff, and there's all these great, interesting characters that are kind of in the mix here, and I'm really loving it. I think Tom Riley, the artist, is doing a great job. I'm enjoying this story. I think the momentum and the action of it has kept up on a because it's been coming out every 2 weeks. I think it's been successful in the way that it's been kind of been coming out, the series paced out. Good stuff. What'd you give it?
Yeah, I give this a 4.
Yeah, easy 4 out of 5. And then Chris, you read Rook Exodus #9 this week.
Yes, I've been trying to read that since it came back, and maybe it's growing on me. I can kind of see why people are liking this. I think the last episode or the last issue we saw, with Rook and his buddy Wardens, they were sort of in a fighting the deer warden, and that spider warden was kind of poking around. So in this issue, kind of focused on Rook and his buddies trying to take on this deer guy. And this deer guy's freaking kicking his ass, and he takes care of him pretty handily. And then, I think as he's about to kind of put in this finishing blows, all those spiders come out, and those spiders don't really care about anybody. And it just kind of webs all those people up, and it kind of takes no prisoners, and they're all prisoners of the spider warden. And, Rook's still trying to explain his story, even to that the deer warden. I don't know what to call it. I feel weird calling these things, but whatever. The deer guy, he's going, look, we're just trying to save this world here. You gotta let us through. We're trying to fix things. And they try that same story with the spider warden, and they're trying to go, look, without if we don't fix this world engine, this whole world's gonna die. And the spider warden, like he's kind of taken over by the spiders. He goes, we don't really care where spiders will exist. We'll survive. And then then the Rook is like, what about you? And then his mask opens up, and it seems like that spider warden is, he's like, oh, help me. And then the mask shuts down, closed, and goes, then the spiders take over again and go, look, we don't care about humans. We just want to try and kill them all. And we're just using this spider warden as our meat puppet. And we're the ones that shut down this world engine because we're trying to kill the world anyway. So it seems like the villain now has been revealed. And, like maybe the sides have been set, and, they're in for some final battle to save this world. I did enjoy this issue more than other issues I've read of this series. So, I can see what some of the hype is all about. And once again, that's Jason Fabok, I think it is, that draws this.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. But I wish everybody wasn't wearing masks all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I give this a 4 too. I think Image is kicking ass.
Nice.
Or Ghost Machine.
Good stuff. Next up I got Hulk Smash Everything #1. Is Smashes Everything or Smash Everything? I don't know. We'll see here in a minute. Hulk Smash Everything. Yeah, okay. Ryan North wrote this one, so I figured I'd check it out. I think this is just a mini series. Now, if you're not a fan of like the horror Hulk, that version that we're getting right now in Infernal, it's Infernal now Hulk, whatever, that one that just launched, that like Chris had mentioned that he isn't really a fan of like the, what the horror aspect of the character or the storyline going on in that. This is basically like classic. Now, again, there's different versions of Hulk. Some people like, don't like or like Stupid Hulk. He's basically big green stupid Hulk in this miniseries. Now, this is, just like Hulk Smash, Rampage Hulk. Somebody pisses him off and he goes on like a smashing rampage type of storyline. But the thing I like about this is the way that he connects everything throughout the Marvel universe. Ryan North has like a good way of like, even in this Fantastic Four, you can kind of see it. This kind of felt like a classic, like old school Marvel, like almost like Marvel Team Up or Marvel 2-in-1 type of, like, one of these type of stories where like they go through the Marvel universe and they show you how everybody's kind of knows each other and connected, and it kind of has a through line of like action. that's Hulk's at the center of. So that it kind of started out with Doctor Strange at the Sanctum Sanctorum. He hears a bunch of noise in the other room. He says to Wong, what the hell's going on? And he's like, I don't know. Hulk just showed up and he's, he wants to, he started attacking the Sanctum Sanctorum. And, he keeps saying he wants to smash Doctor Strange, or Strange Doctor, as he's calling him. And then he's just like, okay, I got to see what the hell's going on here. Figure out how this all started, because we can't stop this guy because he's on a rampage. And then he goes into an astral form and he goes inside of his head and he sees this scenario play out where the leader, one of Hulk's villains, basically dressed up and pretended like he was Doctor Strange. Like he created some sort of an illusion that he's Doctor Strange. And went to this I guess college or something, or school where Bruce Banner was working. And then he hits him. It's such a stupid, he clearly was just trying to be funny with this. You see him smash Bruce Banner over the head with a frying pan. And then he hulks out and goes crazy and goes after Doctor Strange, who he thinks is Doctor Strange. But it turns out that it's not Doctor Strange, just the leader. But then he leads him back to the Sanctum Sanctorum to attack Doctor Strange. And then Doctor Strange is like, oh, shit. He's like, this is a whole distraction. He's like, we got to get back to the Sanctum Sanctorum. So they go back, and the leader already worked his way into there. And, I guess whatever his war room, wherever he's got all these artifacts and weapons and stuff like that. And he steals some sort of time platform that he took away from Dr. Doom or something. First he uses some ring in Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorum to portal to Latveria and get into Dr. Doom's castle. Then in Dr. Doom's castle, he steals this time platform thing and uses it to kind of go send Hulk back through time to the prehistoric age. And then the issue ends up ending with him fighting dinosaurs, and there's a big asteroid flying through the sky about to plummet and hit the earth. And I guess it's the Big Bang or whatever. So it's kind of fun so far. It's a fun, classic, Hulk smashing rampage going through the Marvel Universe type romp here. I really had a lot of fun with this one. You know what? I was going to give it 3.75, but the more I talk about it, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 too. I had just as much fun with this book as I did anything this week, and we talked about DCKO earlier. This was basically just dumb fun featuring the Hulk going through the Marvel Universe type stuff. And I think, Ryan North is doing some good work lately. I mean, between this Fantastic Four, he's been putting out some good stuff. I thought One World Under Doom, although a little long in the tooth, like we talked about here, was a successful event, I felt for the most part, just, in terms of the story. He's really growing on me as a writer. I'm glad that he's working for Marvel, because there's very few people I feel like I can depend on these days at Marvel. I think North is kind of working his way into that club at this point, honestly, for me. Anyways, I give this a 4 out of 5. Good stuff. Yeah, and this is him fighting the dinosaurs here. Yeah, Hulk smash dinosaur. It was fun. I suggest checking it out. You might like this, Chris, actually. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Then next up, I got Giant Size Criminal #1. I don't have the art for this one. So this is Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips returning to do a special one-shot issue. I guess this is basically to promote Criminal because it's going to be a show on Netflix soon. I believe it's on Netflix. Yeah, coming soon to a streaming platform near you. So I think it's Netflix, but I can't remember. Maybe it's HBO. Well, it's all owned by the same fucking people apparently now after some buy this week, which we don't have to
talk about that later on.
Yeah, well, there you go. If we want to get into it later on and what this means for the movies and everything else, we can talk about that later. But this is just classic Criminal. I love Criminal by Ed Brubaker. This is a series that he had done a bunch of, he started over at Marvel in their Icon imprint, which is long gone, which was their creator-owned imprint when he worked for Marvel. And then when he went to Image, he basically did a bunch of Criminal comics at Image. And him and Sean Phillips have continued to make crime comics, ever since, and all kinds of different series. But lately, the last few years, they've been putting out original graphic novels. So they put out two hardcovers a year of worth of material instead of doing monthly issues. And it just goes straight to the book market, and they do really well in that regard. So I just always pick up their original graphic novels because they haven't been doing issues. But this is like a special one shot they did, like I said, to promote the show. So this is just a great one shot issue story of what's his Teague Lawless's son, Ricky Lawless. And in fact, and typical criminal fashion, this guy's basically, he's hired to do like a job. Basically, he has to dress up as a like a bellboy type of guy, like works in a hotel, and he gains access to this guy's room that he has to rob. There's like basically a big poker tournament happening at this hotel, and he's going to meet this guy in the room after hours after he comes back and wins. This guy usually always wins the poker tournaments where he comes in second, so he's going to have like a huge amount of money. So some guy hires him to basically go in there, hide in the room, come out of like the closet or whatever when he comes back to the room and rob him and take the money. So that's what he does. He goes to the room, he gains access to it, he goes and hides. But then as he's in there, he's like, yeah, well, I brought a little treat for myself. So because I might have to wait for like a bunch of hours here. And you see him like take out a thing of Coke, and he's going to do some Coke that he got from his friend. But then he sniffs it and he's like, oh, fuck. He's like, this ain't regular Coke. This fucking idiot sold me it's fucking heroin, China white heroin or some shit like that. It's like Pulp Fiction again, to make a reference to that, where the way that I guess he didn't notice because of the color, it was white and it looked like Coke, but it was actually heroin that he accidentally put in there. So he sniffs heroin and he gets all fucked up. And then he like ends up going outside of the closet and hanging out, watching TV and ordering room service. And then he hires hookers to the room and he bangs the hookers. and then like he's just losing track of time because he's high as shit. And then all of a sudden, like, he passes out or something, and he wakes up, and some fucking guy's kicking the shit out of him. He's like, "What the hell are you doing in my room?" And then he gets up, and then he's like, "Oh, I can't feel anything because I was so fucking high." So he beats the shit out of this fucking guy, and he's like, "Yeah, it's my superpower right now because I'm so high I can't feel anything." So he beats the shit out of this guy, and then ends up taking what he's holding in his hand. And then when he tries to escape, he ends up having to shoot this fucking guy and kill him, and like shoot some eyewitness, and like he kind of runs away out of the hotel room, gets away. Basically has to like go out of the hotel, like pull a fire alarm, or it's pulled, and like he basically makes an escape. Anyways, then he goes and calls up this guy that hires him, and he tells him what exactly happened. He's like, "Hey, how come you didn't tell me what, like he opened up the package. It wasn't money. It was like some schematics to like some sort of like banking information, or like there's like banking info and all this kind of stuff here, and like layouts of the buildings." And he's like, "What the hell is all this stuff?" Right? He's like, "I thought you told me this guy." And the guy like repeats the hotel names. Like, "You went to the wrong fucking hotel, you idiot. That's the wrong one that you went to." Right? Like, so this guy like basically killed and robbed some guy that has nothing to do with it. And he's at the middle of like this other like big conspiracy, like something big. Like this guy clearly was fighting for what he had in his possession, and like it turns out like he's in the middle of like this whole other shitstorm of stuff now. Anyway, just a great one-shot issue. I'm sure this is going to lead into whatever this new original graphic novel that they come out with is going to do. In the back, it kind of shows you like the world of Criminal, and it goes through bios of all the characters that you usually see in these stories. And then it kind of has like a couple of like little comics as well that talks about like his experience on the set for the making of Criminal, the TV show. But yeah, really nice like newsprint light paper as well, which I thought was really cool. 5 out of 5. I love this series. I love Criminal. I'm so glad that they're back at it, back in this world, and we're gonna get a TV show soon that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I gotta give it a 5. No complaints here, just classic Criminal stories. And if you like crime comics, this is like the best there is out there in terms of comics. Next up, Doctor Strange #1, Chris.
Well, another one I wasn't too sure about, but Angela being part of this series really piqued my interest. Like, I didn't get any of my Marvel comics, but I do think I had one of the variant covers for this. And yeah, it's not a bad story. I guess Doctor Strange is stuck in Asgard, and Sif sends him on some mission with some angels, and I don't know who those other demon people are or something. And there's I think there's it's like some demon that's been locked away for eons and eons that they got to set free, and it seems like they set this free, and I think one of the angels was sort of a backstabber or something, or they pulled a fast one on him. So it's an okay story. I thought the art's decent. A lot of characters I like. I think you might have more to say on it than I do, but I think it's a good start to this Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I remember really liking the miniseries that was by the same writer that I guess led into this, which was like, I guess, was that a fallout of Bloodhunt after he lost becoming the Sorcerer Supreme? Yeah, so then they did
He went to Asgard to become the Asgardian Sorcerer Supreme to go back, then, as the Sorcerer Supreme, go back and fight Doom. Like, I'm not even sure he's aware that the Doom fight is over.
Right.
He's been sort of cut off from everything going on Earth.
My only complaint about this is I thought that we left the Asgard stuff behind in that miniseries. I liked it as a nice detour for the character. I don't know why they are trying so hard these days to stray away from what we expect from these characters so much. I actually was looking, I don't mind it to some degree, because that's how sometimes you get interesting stories and interesting takes on characters, or these, I get it. Sometimes the writers, they like all this continuity, you're trying to breathe new life into characters that have been written for like friggin' 100 years or whatever long, these characters have been around. But like, I just wanted to go back to, like, even though he may not be the Sorcerer Supreme, I was just looking for him outside of Asgard. I didn't know that this was going to be a continuation of him in Asgard. But for what it was fine. I don't know if I'm going to collect this in issues. I might drop it and just read it digitally now. I thought that mini series of him in Asgard was a nice little kind of, detour from what we expect from the character, and timely thing as a result of what had happened in the event. I didn't know that was going to be the new status quo of this ongoing series again. So that's what it seems like it is. Now, this arc might be Asgard, and then the next one they might change it up again. I don't know, but for what the story is, it's fine. It's got like a lot to do with Elfheim, like the elves and the history between them and Asgard, and it kind of connects with a lot of the Thor stuff that's been going on right now as well, with him people thinking he's dead and all this stuff. So I don't mind it. It's just like, I come to a Doctor Strange book for it to be Doctor Strange, not Thor. So like, it might have been okay for that last miniseries, but I don't know how much I wanted this to be like the main title moving forward, right? So, I think I'm gonna drop it in issues, but I'll probably still read it though. It wasn't bad. I just didn't think that's what this was going to be. I thought we were getting away from that direction now. And then you look in the cover of the other one, Chris, with the Sorcerer Supreme, and you got Scarlet Witch as the Sorcerer Supreme on the cover there. Yeah. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. I mean, that makes more sense.
I think you touched on something where you said, it's none of these legacy characters are living their legacy lives, because it's happening in Hulk, it's happening in Thor, it's happening in, like, I don't want to call Venom a legacy character, but Venom's on like a totally different path. Yeah. Even Spider-Man, he's out floating around in space.
Right.
It seems like all their kind of one character titles, they all got them freaking, just the worlds are turned upside down in all of them. And I don't know if they need to do all of them all at once. It's maybe you have 2 or 3 of them happening. That's fine. Like, where you like the Hulk being, with his new sort of status quo, and where I don't. And I seem to enjoy Doctor Strange in this status quo, but you don't. You know what I mean? I think it's dividing a lot of fans, even just between us. We're only 2 people.
Absolutely. No, and I think that's what it is. That's why, I don't think it's terrible to attempt to try to do these things, because that's the only way you can continue to, I get it, like, try to tell interesting stories.
But not everybody all at once. Like, it looks like, whatever, 6 months ago, okay, this is what our plan is for the next year or so. We're going to freaking, come up with wacky ideas for all our legacy characters. What can we do? It's like, oh, wow. We can make Doctor Strange in Asgard. Okay, we can make the Hulk a monster. Okay, and put Spider-Man in space.
Whereas I think that the ability that people like DC have had, and Marvel, if they really bought more into the Ultimate stuff, is they could have their cake and eat it too. They could have really did something like that, where they're like, you want to do crazy stuff with these characters? Here, you have this version over here. Just put out a traditional, like, what people want of this character. Sometimes I just want to pick up a Spider-Man book, or I just want to pick up the Doctor Strange book. Yeah. I don't want to have like some crazy take on it, right? So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to predict what people want, and I don't know if this is exactly, like I said, I was okay with it from the miniseries, but do I want another 10, 12 issues of this? I don't know. So we'll see. But for what it was, though, the issue wasn't bad. But you make a very good point. I think that's kind of where we're at right now, and I don't know. It's hard to navigate like what's interesting to you in terms of what you prefer of these classic characters, right? So it's interesting that way. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75.
I'll go 3.5, a little lower because of what I said about it. It wasn't bad. I don't know. I don't want him in Asgard forever here. And then I read JSA number 14. Not much to say on this. Jeff Lemire is just still doing his thing. I think I didn't talk about the last issue on the show. This is kind of just telling, like, this is JSA year 1 story. So this is telling like classic JSA type story of the original older team. And like, basically they're all coming together. These characters, they're not a team as of yet, but they've all kind of somewhat crossed paths with some. This is in 1940, and they've come across like some people uprising of like Nazi sympathizers in the city that they've all kind of come across that are up to no good, kind of like corralling people and doing stuff, I guess, in name of the war of World War II going on at this time. So it's interesting to see like a flashback story like this with these legacy characters. And I think it'll better inform and move forward the other series, where the first kind of couple arcs were these characters interacting with the new school kind of younger versions of these characters that are in the JSA. And this is like a throwbacky old school JSA type of story, which I think Lemire is also good at doing. So I think this fits kind of his writing sensibilities as well in a good way, and I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of like Black Hammer at times and stuff like that, which which was him doing like his own universe, DC kind of style universe. So good stuff. I thought the art was really good. I give this a 3.75 out of 5. And then next up, we got Batgirl 14. Not much new to say on this one. This is one of those series now. I feel like DC, like Marvel, is doing with these 10 issues, and that's the series. I think they are also applying this, but with like arcs that take up like 20 issues of the series and then it ends, because this is one of those books that like one arc is folding into the other. There's not really a clean break. We've been in the middle of like this her against like a bunch of like, almost like Kung Fu tournament type of deal, but it's her kind of, it reminded me of Orphan the Five Beasts, because it's in the same way and in that style. She's tracking down all these like different people that are then tasked to take Batgirl out, and there's like all these different fighters and stuff that she's
kind of taking out all the lieutenants before she gets to the big boss,
right? Which is not bad. I like that. I mean, I love that kind of stuff, but I just feel like it has felt like one long story 14 issues in that they've been telling. Whereas, like, we're not talking about it this week, but I kind of took a peek at Birds of Prey issue 28 that came out this week. And it was not like just a singular last issue. That was I was going to maybe talk about it because I'm like, oh, is this like a singular last issue just wrapping everything up? No, it seemed like it was a continuation. And even that, the first few pages I read it, I'm like, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on. It almost felt like that was still a continuation of like, like plot strings that we started out in the first arc of the series, right? It just felt like the same characters were there. It just felt like they haven't moved forward with things at all, right? So that's my only complaint I'd say about this. But, again, I'm still digging the story and I'm still reading it. I'll give this one a 3.5 out of 5. I just also think like it needs a little bit, and it needs to kind of branch off, I think, from this storyline here and kind of do some new stuff outside of like this epic that they've been writing for 14 issues right now. Then I got They're All Terrible number 3. I don't have art for this one. This is another one of those bad idea comics, which you can only buy through comic book stores. It's not even available digitally. It's a stupid model that they have, honestly. But this is a really good series. The art's great. This is like a fantasy series with like a bunch of like ne'er-do-wells, like shitty fucking people essentially that have teamed up for like some sort of like a quest essentially, that they all got kind of stuck together. And they're trying to like rob a tomb or like a big like vault or something in this town in this one. And as a result, they almost have to like become heroes of because of the situation that they've been put in. But the art's very detailed, and it's really great. I think it's Ramon Villalobos is the artist on this, and this is one of those books that kind of disappeared for a couple of years, and they came back with this issue. And I don't know if it's because the amount of detail this guy put into this, or it just took forever to actually come out. Maybe some other behind the scenes issues, but it looks great, and it's a really fun story. So I give this a 4 out of 5. And then next up, I got Save Now #2, another Bad Idea comic. Same thing. Don't have the art for this one because it's not digital. This is the series I talked about when the first issue came out, where the guy basically has save points that he can kind of go back to. But every time he goes back to it and replays that moment, let's say like he ends up dying and he wants to go back a few minutes or something and reverse the outcome, he ages in like real time as a result of that. There's a point in this guy's life that he can't get past, and the world basically gets destroyed. And at the end of the last issue, he realized, listen, I'm not going to figure this out. I keep going back and back and back years. I keep getting older, and I just want to live my fucking life because there's nothing I can do about it. And this is him basically doing that, like seeing it through in this issue. And it gets to the end of the issue, and he's like at the point in time where he hasn't been able to see into the future yet because he hasn't actually lived it. Great concept for a comic. I love this idea. I think it's really great. Matt Kent wrote this, Thomas Giarello on art. Great art. I can't wait for this, the next issue of this, because I think this is a really great series, and I hope that some people are able to check this out, because I feel like because it's not available digitally and maybe not everybody orders from this publisher for their shop, if they can order Bad Idea Comics for you, I highly recommend this one. This is a great book. And with the whole messiness with different distributors and all this shit now, it's a whole mess. So anyways, 4.25 out of 5. It's a really good series. All right, Chris, we're in the banger territory now. Nemesis Forever, #4.
We're in banger territory. Oh, come on, though, man. They had freaking Nemesis like down, you know. He had like, 3 breaths to make before he was dead. And I know you got to put these hero or your whatever the protagonists, I guess you don't want to call him a hero, but the main character in some, tough spots. And that was like the toughest spot I've seen this guy in. And I don't know, somehow he makes through it. Some truck comes through, and then he gets in the truck and he uses their ultrasonic to break all the glass in there. So basically now all those Berlin police are all dead, and he was able to finagle a gas mask from somebody, so he was safe. And how do you you can't write yourself into a corner, I guess he might have thought it was smart the way he got out of it, but there was like an army on him,
Wow.
None of those guys could have pulled the trigger.
I mean, this is a Mark Miller comic. I've seen him dial stuff back like this numerous times, right? It's
the first time for me here, but
what do you mean? Big Game? Do you not remember how Big Game got resolved? That was he walked that one back too. There was a big Deus Ex Machina in that where the magic characters showed up and they just magicked it back to normal.
But otherwise, it's still a good action there. And then, I guess Nemesis is upset that I guess one of his lieutenants there, whatever, failed him, and he brings him out to the one where that cop is sort of undercover, and just kind of blows them away in front of the cop, and just some of the banter between that gang that's hanging around there with that big guy. He's just kind of, hey, we got some time to kill there. You want to go at it for a bit? He's like, oh, no, I think I'm just going to, plan for the heist here, He's like, okay, well, I thought that was going to turn into something, but it's like, okay, I'm just down the hall if you change your mind.
Yeah.
And it seems like they caught the girl that cop is sort of impersonating, but something's going to change there, because, that looked like that was going to be a big storyline that was going to, mess things up. And it seems like everything's under control. And of course, in a comic like this, when everything's under control, that just something bad is going to happen. And I'm not a big fan of this Nemesis kind of going into the mystic world there to it's like Yeah, you're going a little overboard here, Mark. Come on, bring it back here. Bring back some fun times.
I thought I actually liked this part because it came out of nowhere. I'm like, this guy's like in the underworld, like, and he's like, I'm gonna sell my soul for eternal power. Essentially, I'm just like, because this has always been like almost like the Ra's al Ghul, this character, right? But
Yeah.
it is so. Like a hard right all of a sudden. Like you get that, like you said, the first escape of this issue. Then he goes and like basically gives himself up to this guy for this power set of like for him to be able to accomplish anything he sets his mind to here. Like, and I don't know. This is crazy what happens here in this issue. I kind of dig it because I was like, this is so odd. I don't
And
know.
they talk about the ambassadors showing up. If they show up in this, that's
Yeah.
going to be crazy too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but like he goes into this like basement and they're like sacrificing a monkey by at the stake. Like, what's going on here? He's like on fire. It's like I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I don't know. It's some weird stuff going on in this book. I dug it though. I like this issue a lot, but it's going all over the place. And we only got one more issue to go. And in typical Mark Miller fashion, it's gonna be an oversized issue where he wraps everything up here. And I guess we'll see what happens here next. But yeah, this is definitely been going in some different directions, this Nemesis series, than what we're used to, I feel like. So for the best, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed more of the, the cartoon violence here, not the cartoon stories.
Right.
I give this a 3.75.
I'll go 4. I think I liked it a little bit more of the weirdness of this one. Next up we go 4 out of 5. Orphan and the Five Beasts, number 3, Chris.
Yep, I guess we are moving to banger territory. I think where did we end up here? We ended up in some crazy fight in the last one. And you think things are gonna go on, and boom, they freaking drop a history or a freaking what do you call that? Freaking where they backtrack and they talk about that pregnant lady and what her story is. It's an interesting story. But you can't freaking drop that story right when, the freaking main battle is about to go on. But when they do get to the battle, it's crazy action in here. And, even this, whatever her name is, that pregnant lady, she's got that iron cauldron power. That was pretty crazy. And then, once, I guess you have to tell a story to find out when they're fighting. But once the action gets going again back in the present time, it's some pretty good stuff here, and this is another crazy story too. But I'm all for this one. This is crazy in a good way.
Absolutely, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, that was my only criticism about this is because I was like, oh, why are we getting hit with this origin story at the start of this? It was wordy and there was a lot to explain there and unpack. And I'm like, you really couldn't have paced this out earlier in the series. But this is only a 4-issue miniseries because, again, this guy, the amount of detail he puts in his art and he does everything like the lettering, the coloring. This guy, it takes him like a year to put out these little miniseries, right? So, I was a little disappointed there for a moment, but once the story was told and they like jumped right into the action and now you knew like how she became like this, I was like, you know what? It worked. And like, I was like, you know what? This is awesome now. I love those scenes, the fight scenes that followed. This crazy creature that's like on her back. That's like a baby-like creature.
Whatever. It's all the nerves are.
Yeah, that there's tendrils going on. Yeah, it's like really eerie, weird stuff going on here. This isn't just like your regular kung fu epic stuff going on here. There's all this crazy shit happening in this book. And I love James Stokoe's art. So yeah, I love this issue as well. I think it's one more issue to go. I'm not mad at that. And it's going to be another chapter in this ongoing story. I feel like it seems like every one that comes out, she takes out a couple of these 5 orphans or whatever, and we're kind of getting to the finish line soon, I would think. So it's good stuff. I really enjoyed. Yeah, this part was crazy. It's like arm, like basically when he goes to punch her, like explode, like his brain pops out. It's just like great. This is the violence that I think you were hoping for more in Nemesis, honestly. Yeah. This is nuts. This stuff. What'd you give this?
They might have to give it 4.25 now that we talked about it.
Yeah, 4.25. Absolutely, I agree. Next up, Batman number 4.
That's one of the other comics I got. I got the.
Oh, nice. Let's take a look at that.
The Jim Lee variant.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I kind of bought that on the fly. It seemed my LCS had a few variants he either ordered for somebody else or maybe not. I don't know. But I said, "You want them?" I go, "Okay, I'll take it." And the story, there's nothing wrong about this story. It's a good story. But does Batman need another new sort of overlording crime boss? Like, how many crime bosses are in there now? That this Minotaur is a new guy, I'd imagine, right? And of course, his plan is to unify the criminal underworld. Isn't that all their plans?
This is the what the Minotaur? Yeah, the labyrinth of crime, the Minotaur, right? That's yeah.
If you're gonna, I don't know, if you're gonna bring a new character in, I don't think this Minotaur is all that imaginative. Okay, maybe you can write some nice titles with it, but otherwise, I think it's a fine Batman story. It's great art in there, but I don't know. It just seems it doesn't seem like be anything new.
Yeah, it's not a bad Batman book. I'm still enjoying it, but like you said, but this is it's almost going against what we were saying earlier. You're getting absolute Batman, which is crazy and new things, unexpected, and this is your basic, toe in the line, kind of Batman book. This is which I said I wanted from some of my books, right? So that's what I mean. I don't have a complaint here. It's good, it's fine. But it's not it's not that exciting, I'll say right now, this storyline. It feels like a lot
of Batman though, he's got 20 other titles going on, so you can pick and choose. When
That's
you only have one title going on, then you got to be a little bit more choosy in your stories,
which is the case with a lot of the Marvel titles we're talking about. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. So, yeah, I mean, this is I don't want to call it basic, but I mean, it is.
Yeah, behind the story tonight, seeing him talk to that whatever that girl that didn't want to sell her.
That was smooth. I was like, hey, Bruce, look at this guy.
Well, finally you see him as a playboy, actually putting some moves on there.
That's what I said. Yeah. Taking initiative there. He was
and then this kid here with he's got that footage of the cops sort of beating up Batman or actually what happened, the true story of what happened, and nobody can sell that story. Like, what the heck, kid? You just put it online like freaking everybody else. And there you go. This ain't the freaking 80s there where you got to bring it to a newspaper and they got to publish it. If you just put it out there, it'll pick up its own steam. But anyway, it's still a good comic. But it's just, after seeing crazy stuff in Batman, this seems kind of vanilla, but it's still good.
Yeah, I agree. What'd you give this?
I got a 3.75. That's a good 3.75.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying it. It's good stuff. Next up, we got Cheetah and Cheshire Rob, the Justice League #5.
I'm not sure if I read the last issue and it was kind of wearing thin on me, but I think now that we're getting close to the end, it's starting to pick up. I really get that Ocean 11's feel in this one because all their plans are coming to fruition and you see what they're actually doing. I like how they brought all those, when I saw those mice in there going, no, got Wonder Woman, you got mice in here again. What's going on? But it seems like all those mice are just set to explode. And, they kind of sneak onto the watchtower. And they make it look like Red Tornado's losing his mind because he just keeps on, going on about how many life forms are in there. And then they keep on slowly going down and down and down. And, it makes them think, hey, Tornado, maybe you got to, check yourself here. And then he goes, okay, it'll take 4 or 5 minutes to do that. And then that you can see that gives them the window to do what they need to do. And, then you can see that the Question, Wonder Woman, and whoever else there, they kind of figure out what's going on. We're being robbed, with that Ocean 11 thing with what's her name and the Cheetah sort of in jail. Reminds me of Danny Ocean there, kind of. He's in jail while everything goes on.
Yeah.
And, then they kind of lock down the Justice Tower. They actually get this power bank, which I never thought they'd even get close to. And, you think they're in they're stuck in their spot. And they kind of go, oh, yeah, you can't magic your way in here. But oops. Guess what? You can magic your way out. And when they kind of get teleported out of there, just like all their expressions, kind of like, yeah, see you later, suckers. And you got everybody in the Justice League kind of just surrounding them.
Yeah.
And, they're kind of just all caught with their pants down.
And they had that classic moment.
Then at the end,
they had that classic moment too with the Justice League. Oh no, we've been had. They're robbing us. But yeah, go on. What were you saying? Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah, and then at the end, when you think they get away scot-free,
Yeah.
not really. We'll see. They got something else up their sleeves now.
Yeah.
So it's a fun series.
Yeah, I still had a lot of fun with this. I do agree. You actually didn't read the last issue. I do agree in the middle there. It kind of spun its wheels a little bit for a couple of issues there in terms of like once they got the team together, they had to kind of fill a couple of issues of like setup, like leading into this.
Yeah.
But like, we're off to the races here and in the middle of the actual heist here. And they, like you said, they pulled it off in this issue. And I guess next issue, we'll see them bring it home with the conclusion of this mini series. That has been a fun surprise. I think overall, I've really enjoyed it. And I think this is one that's going to will have gone under a lot of people's radar. But I think it's like when it's all collected and said and done, as long as they stick the landing next issue, I can highly recommend this one. I think it was a lot of fun for what it was. So something different, right? We talk about a lot of the same stuff. And this was just a different type of story that we haven't seen here. What'd you like? What'd you give this?
I give it a 4. I'm enjoying this one.
Same. Yeah, this is a good issue. 4 out of 5. All right. Fantastic Four number 6.
Oof, that's a nice cover. I better get my fucking Marvel covers. Jesus Christ. That's killing me. But with all these Malice covers, I thought Malice was gonna, it's gonna be a issue focused on.
She's coming there. She is.
Okay, she is.
Well, that's why this one's called Invincible Woman. I think in future solicits they've talked about it. Like I think she is going to be in the mix.
I don't know. I've never seen the word Malice put in any of the solicitations. I go because I thought it would be in here. Okay, we got it's an Invisible Woman featured arc, and I'm reading this. Okay, when's Malice showing up? Well, how is she going to show up? And it just seemed like a regular Fantastic Four story, which it wasn't a bad story, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And who shows up here? What are the villains? I forgot. Wasn't it somebody from some off world or something? And they basically, or she convinces them that she's like all powerful, and they just retreat.
Sorry, I just was checking something, Chris. They have confirmed a powerful Sue Storm from an alternate universe is going to be in this new story arc, kicking off with number 6. So yeah, she is going to be in the mix, like in future issues.
Let's see.
But
I want to see her. But anyway, yeah, like, and isn't that what happens? I forget how it would, like, if there's a big reveal at the end or not. It didn't seem like it. That's not what Ryan North plays for on these ones.
No, not necessarily. So yeah, this is the thing where at first they kind of throw out the proposal of them joining Shield and working for them, like a new Shield, like that kind of gets thrown out in this issue, and they kind of think about it for a moment, which is kind of interesting because they were like, listen, we don't want to trust this new version of Shield or the government or whatever this offshoot is with Maria Hill, but they're like, but if we are involved, maybe we can control it as a result of being involved more so than not trusting them and being on the outs of this new organization. So they kind of think of that's an interesting part. I feel like they talk about in this issue because she brings up all these things that they've done within the pages of this series so far that were like, earth altering things that like in terms of their powers where they've done things and that they've altered stuff and changed stuff and have been able to affect stuff for the earth. That makes them a threat in some ways. So that she's kind of like, I'd rather you work with us than kind of have you out there where I can't trust you, like whatever you guys got going on. So that part's interesting, that storyline. And then there's a whole thing with, I guess it's not the leader. I was just talking about him in the Hulk book. What the fuck is his name? One of their villains, one of their usual villains, the Thinker, I think it is, that he shows up and he ends up screwing up everything inside of like, he basically breaks into their security systems and then there was that end because he was that. That's where Reed is talking about how the static, the Mad Thinker, that's his name.
Yeah, how the static is what his encryption is based on because it's so chaotic, and then it says, "Oh, the static is repeating itself." Yes, and it's a message from Galactus or something, right?
Yes, that's how the issue ends. Is that it's a message for Sue Storm essentially from Galactus.
Yeah.
That he threw these like waves, these band waves or whatever that exist in the earth or whatever, and it reads out this message that's why Reed, when he discovers this at the end of the issue, he's like, go get Sue, like she has to see this, and And just to jump ahead here, and like, yeah, it says basically find Susan Storm, Galactus. So I'm guessing what's going on is Galactus is warning her about this other alternate version of herself that may be causing some shit somewhere in the universe, and I guess is coming to them. That's what if I had to guess, like if that how they're gonna bring Malice into play. So yeah, so I guess we'll see. I mean, it was, again, in typical Ryan North fashion, he kind of did give you a bit of a story one and done in this, but he is tying it into like an ongoing arc here, it seems like, right? So did you like this one? Or
yeah, I like the story, but I don't like that the bait and switch. Again, can't give us Malice covers, and then and there's no hint of Malice or anything going on here. Then if it's gonna be some freaking alternate Malice, I want to see Sue Storm turn into Malice, and they got to do whatever they got to do. But anyways, I guess I just have to read that in the back issue to find that out where it is. But anyway, I thought it was a great comic style. I give it a 3.75.
Yeah, 3.75 out of 5, and there's more Malice covers coming, so there's no shortage of those. So she better be showing up. I'm just looking at some of them right now. And then finally, Venom 252, Chris.
Venom 252. I guess they made this like an oversized issue because of a bunch of other stories. But in the main story, the star of this comic is Doc Ock. I loved him in this one. I love when when he thinks he's fighting on the side of the right or he's on the side of the people. He thinks he's working for the government now, and he's trying to just tell people, look, this Spider-Man isn't Spider-Man, it's Venom, and nobody's playing along, or everybody's playing along with Venom, and it's just driving him up the wall. He gets more unhinged and unhinged as time goes on, and then it leads to his ultimate downfall. And it's just fun seeing him, thinking that he's on the side of good this time, and doing the right thing, trying to get rid of all these symbiotes. And just his banter, the way they write him, it's great. And even just the fun stuff with Venom there, him trying to pretend he's Spider-Man, and his mouth pops up every once in a while and it disappears. And then of course, Luke Cage, I imagine he can realize that it's not Spider-Man. He kind of, oh, hey man, you've been hitting the gym and stuff like that. That's okay stuff. But then those backup stories, I don't know if they're all that necessary, but I guess they're trying to pay homage to the Spider-Man 252 with that one Spider-Man story where I think it's just basically Venom kind of controlling Peter Parker when he first encounters Eddie Brock or something. And then another Eddie Brock story where it's Eddie Parker in some other alternate dimension. I don't know what the heck that was about either. It wasn't my favorite. But the main storyline, it's still fun. I want Carlos Gomez back on this story, though, too.
Yeah, I agree. I do want him back. I mean, who is the one doing this one? I forget the artist.
Not bad, but it's no Gomez. Paco Medina or something.
Yeah, Paco Medina. I agree. Yeah, he's fine. But yeah, the main story was a lot of fun. And then Madame Mask shows up at the end of this. And like you said, I love the characterization of Doc Ock. And again, just like another fun comic that came out this week, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's entertaining. And seeing Luke Cage throw down as the mayor was fun, and that whole bit with him kind of grumbling to himself about how no one appreciates him in the limo with Madame Mask at the end of the story was good. I can't say much about the other stories that were in this issue though, but this one was worth reading. The other ones kind of weird. I didn't like them, so I don't know how much time you want to dedicate to talking about those, if any at all. Yeah. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. I love the Doc Ock stuff.
I would give this story a 4, but if we're gonna go on the basis of the whole issue, I'd probably knock a little bit off 3.75. I didn't like the other two stories that came after as much, but this story, the main story of this issue, which is the main ongoing story, absolutely 4 out of 5. So. All right, so that's going to do it for this week of comics. Chris, did you want to mention anything about in the news here? You said you wanted to touch on.
Well, no, I just want to talk about with the takeover of Netflix, taking over Warner Brothers, which in essence is taking over DC. I don't really care so much about the DC movies, but what's it going to do? DC Comics seem to be running on all cylinders right now, and all you need is some new managers coming in just to freaking mess this all up. And I fear for DC Comics.
I know there's a lot of questions that exist in the air amongst fandom this week after this news. I also seen an update today saying that now
I hear
Paramount,
Paramount, yeah, is putting a hostile bid in there. Yeah, I was reading about that too. What that means, I don't know, but
apparently is not a done deal, even though they announced it. Like, I guess they outbid them by just a little bit, and now Paramount is like trying to be aggressive and like outbid them now.
yeah.
I don't know if it's like done deal. I think they announced it as done deal, but now they're saying like Paramount might be like some sort of like corporate takeover type move or something. Like
When they decide we'll buy all the stock and
listen,
that's it.
This could be very good or very bad for all of these things that they are going to about to take on and own. I think for one, if Netflix does own these things, your Netflix bills are going to become a lot more expensive as a result, because all this content on HBO, which I love, is going to be available through Netflix. I'm sure they're not going to give that to you for your regular fee. Also, it doesn't really bode well for theaters or films. Like, there's a lot of people that are like really worried about that. And as somebody who still likes to go to the theater like myself, I don't know. And so and then they've been talking about like, well, what's going on with all the gun stuff that he had planned and all the new movies they announced and everything like that. And they said that they've extended his contract. So like, I don't know. I'm seeing all these these news articles coming out about this, and I don't know if this is going to be good for I don't know if for anything. I didn't even think about it from the perspective of the comics, because like, as we know, the comics are such a small part of it.
Yeah, I think that'd be nothing to them. Like, oh, we don't need this anymore. And it's like, I can understand if freaking, DC was floundering or struggling, but DC is like freaking flying high right now.
Well,
that's what we need is, some, micromanager coming. Hey, let's, let's just, we're not paying these writers anymore. It seems like they'll pull a Marvel and look, or pull a Disney and go, look, we're just going to get some freaking status quo writers here, try and hire one or two, or keep one or two superstars. And just kind of try and mine new talent and pay them nothing.
Well, that's
the thing. Great news for Image.
They could totally come in there and trim the fat. It would cause a huge disruption in the industry if one of the two pillars like DC gets taken out. Like, it may be a better thing for creator-owned comics moving forward, but I don't know. But like, this is the problem now: is everybody just going to start creating comics to sell pitches to Netflix directly now? You know what I mean? Like, that could be like the next move now too. And then we already have some creators that are working directly with them. If you look at like what Mark Miller does and stuff like that, for example. So like,
but then you never know. Mark Miller, he's got his hands with Netflix.
That's what I mean.
Maybe if he's in with the higher ups, they go, hey, Mark, maybe you want to take over DC.
But that's the thing. I think these streaming services, they are streaming service first. Like, I don't know what this is going to mean for a publishing line. They're like, we're not publishers, right? They're going to be like, I mean, WB, like, the smart thing WB has done is that they basically have continued the publishing line. It seems to be able to mine it for ideas, like a kind of like a IP farm, essentially, right? Like, which I guess Netflix could do as well, just kind of like feed off of writers' ideas in order to make content. But like, what that means for like their movies or their TV shows, it's anybody's guess right now, right? They have stated, I guess, publicly that they have no plans to change anything within the first year. Because I guess they got to sort everything out. But a year from now, they could really shut the doors on a lot of things, like not even in terms of comics. I mean, we're talking about even some of their plans in terms of the movies or shows or plans for theater rollout or what have you at this point, right? So I don't know, man. A lot of people are holding their breath over this news, and I didn't even think of it, Chris, from a comics perspective. I know that's what we talk about here, but I just like, it's always been in the back of my mind that they're owned by WB, but it feels like they've kind of left. Like, we were worried about this when WB bought DC Comics like years ago. I was worried about this, but now it's kind of like, oh yeah, you know what? They make a little bit of money. We're just going to leave them over here in the corner. Just ignore them. Who cares? Right. It seems like they always have like bigger things at play, but Netflix, that's a whole other company now. Right. So who the hell knows what they have planned for comics, their publishing line. Right. So, are the comics going to suffer as a result of it? Right. Like, I don't know. I remember when Disney first bought Marvel, that's what we started seeing in the comics. Was like the comics were basically copying what was going on in the movies at one point. Like, you know, in terms of like some of the like the ways that artists were showing the characters, like all of a sudden everyone looks like Robert Downey. Iron Man looks like Robert Downey Jr. in the comics, right? Like, I just don't want to get back to a place where like one is informing the other, right? Like, it seems like comics now have been off doing their own thing outside of the shows. And then, but although then we see the shows copy some of the storylines from comics, which I'm fine with, but it should come from the comics first, in my opinion, right? So,
well, I'm just really not going to pay any of the artists or the creators to attract talent.
That too,
because that's what seems to be Marvel's doing. Like, they have no superstar writers. There's nobody, you know. Like I said, they might have one or two to kind of just toe the line, and everybody else is like either new people or you know, everybody's kind of just cut their teeth there and then take off because they don't pay them enough.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even think. I don't know. I bet you a lot of creators are holding their breath over this too. I mean, I think everybody is. I guess we're gonna have to see how this all plays out. Can you imagine though that they get rid of DC's comics publishing line? It's right.
Crazy. Like, yeah, just stop it. Oh yeah, we don't care. We're out.
How about this? How about this though? They sell it to Marvel.
I don't think that's a good idea either.
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Because it's not Marvel. They sell it to Disney. They're not selling it to Disney.
Oh, yeah, because Disney
owns Marvel.
Right. No, I know. But that's the other big powerhouse out there right now, right? Like, in terms of like somebody's owning everything. So that's what I mean. If they took over DC,
they wouldn't go. They wouldn't sell it to DC because then Disney would have all the DC IP because they want it for the movies, not for the new stories. They want it for the old stories.
Could they just sell the rights to the publishing line though?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're right because of how intermingled they are. Like I said, because of how like all these projects are based on the IP of the comics, right? But that's what I mean. I think that's why.
Yeah, like if you want to put this like in wrestling, when WWE bought WCW.
Right.
Those were basically just wrestling companies.
Right.
You know, like I think whatever WCW is owned by Ted Turner, and basically he said, I don't want anything to do with wrestling anymore. You know, and WWF was a wrestling company. Okay, we'll buy you. We'll take everything. But now that WWE is owned by TKO, who knows if that happened? They say, hey, we got enough of our own stuff. We don't need to buy anybody else. Like, you know, when you're your own company, you want to try and make yourself bigger. But when you're just a cog in a company, you don't even have that authority to make yourself bigger.
And now they've gone even further with it where WWE has actually made deals with all kinds of different companies. They got deals with Paramount.
Yeah, well, that's what they're always doing. They're buying all the small ones.
They got deals for Netflix. That's the thing. They're actually just renting out basically their services to people, essentially, like saying like you can air our stuff. Like that, the Netflix deal for Canada, that only exists in Canada, like not in the US, right? Which is interesting because in the US, they got like different networks that have the rights to playing their stuff, right? So, yeah, I don't know. This is going to be very interesting to see this play out. It might. I don't know if it's going to be good though. I don't know. I don't think so either. I don't think this is like from what I've been seeing from fans, and you know, I can't say that I know too much about all this, but from the stuff I've read, none of it sounds that it's going to be beneficial to the fans, like that direction that stuff has been going. Although there has been people talking about once again Snyder coming back now as a result of this purchase. They want the Snyderverse back, so I don't know. I mean that's been talked about.
Even if they did get it back, it'd be some fucking low budget. Like look at all the movies that Netflix. You know, they bought all the celebrities, and you know they brought back their movies. None of them have been great. Yeah. Like, you know, Happy Gilmore 2.
Right.
Or whatever. I remember they had that Kevin Hart movie, like The Toronto Man or something. Like terrible. Kevin Hart's been knocking out blockbusters.
Terrible.
It's still the same Kevin Hart, but it just wasn't right.
But that's what I mean. I feel like Netflix only cares about streaming first, right? So like whether or not
they just want your name on Netflix. They don't really care if the movie's good or not.
Because what's his name's freaking out now too? Because Christopher Nolan exclusively works with Warner Brothers. Christopher Nolan's already fucking freaking out. Apparently, like he held some meeting between like the other big directors in Hollywood because they like run some sort of like guild or something. I don't know what that. I forget what I read. He's like part of like some like he like directors in Hollywood. They all had like a meeting. They're like, this is terrible for the business of movies.
Yeah,
like,
for
like
sure.
you're right, and like he's scared because he doesn't want his movie to go straight to streaming and not have like a theatrical release, right? That's what everyone's afraid of. Like you just said, half the shit that goes to streaming first sucks, right? So it's I don't know. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm sure we're gonna talk. This is not gonna be the last time we talk about this in terms of the comics, right? So
That'll all play its way out.
all right, Chris, what are you reading next week?
Just gonna get some stuff up here. Okay, so this is the week of December 10th. Countdown: Ultimate Spider-Man 23, Ultimate Wolverine 12, Amazing Spider-Man 17, Spider-Man Wolverine 8. Probably read Infernal Hulk, reading Unbreakable X-Men, reading New Avengers, getting Marvel Knights Punisher 3. I don't know, see what's happening in this Sinister 6. Or Sinister 6, number 3. Iron Frost, Long Shots. I'll read what's going on in there, but not too jazzed about that. Let's see, for DC, of course, Absolute Batman number 15. I think Absolute Batman number 15. I think that's like the most anticipated comic. It better live up to it, and it's been living up to it all the way so far. DCKO, Wonder Woman versus Lobo. I'd like to see these 3 fights and kind of see which versions they decide to choose. So it's a little light week for DC. And let's see what Image has got going on. Transformers, Geiger. I didn't even know if Geiger 18 has been out yet. They're trying to sell 19.
It got solicited, yeah, but
yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I think it came out. I just don't think it was available digitally, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's basically it for Image. What about you? What are you looking at?
I got Minor Arcana number 12, the Jeff Lemire book from Boom. Dark Horse. Let me see if I got anything here. I'll be picking up that Minor Arcana. Doesn't look like there's anything from Dark Horse. DC, I'll be picking up Absolute Batman, of course. I'll be reading maybe this Aquaman 12 because it's a DCKO tie-in, as well as the Lobo Wonder Woman. What else we got here? I think that's it from DC. Not too much from them next week. Nothing from Dynamite, IDW. I think Ninja Turtles. Yeah, Ninja Turtles number 13, the first issue post Jason Aaron's run comes out next week. So I'll be checking that out. And then Image. Oh, the new Darkness comes out next week, eh? Mark Silvestri's book. I'm sure he's not doing the art on it, but I didn't know they were relaunching that as well. But I guess there's been Witchblade for the last little while. G.I. Joe. No, that's the other G.I. Joe. Geiger. If I can find that, I'll read that. Transformers 27 I'm picking up. Yeah, I think that's it. Not too much next week, it looks like. And then Marvel, I got Amazing Spider-Man. Fantastic. No, that's a facsimile. Never mind. Infernal Hulk 2 I'll be reading. Yeah, some of these Age of Revelations I might read. We'll take a look. Maybe not long shots. Probably Marvel Knights Punisher I'm grabbing. New Avengers 7 comes out next week. I'll be reading that. That's been good. Sinister 6 I'll probably read. Spider-Man Wolverine comes out. Be grabbing that. Ultimate Spider-Man number 23, and it looks like it might be a bigger issue. One more issue to go after that, right? And yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know if I'm reading Unbreakable X-Men, but yeah, so not too bad of a size week actually. Next week it looks like. So yeah, that'll be what we're reading and talking about next week for December 10th. Everybody. All right, Chris, your favorite book this week?
It was a tough week to decide. It's a lot of good comics, not too many great comics. Yeah. You know, I think I had Venom on my list, maybe G.I. Joe, but after talking about it, I think it has to be that the Orphan Beast one.
Nice.
That was great.
Yeah, I agree. That was great. That's definitely a runner-up of mine here. But yeah, there's Chris's pick, Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood, number 3. Yeah, it's not my favorite of the week, but it's definitely probably my second favorite book that came out this week. It's definitely in the running. I would also even give a shout out to G.I. Joe. This has been a lot of fun as well. Like you said, like a lot of good mid-tier or just above type books this week. Gave a lot of 4.25s out here, so that's always good. But I got a clear winner though for me this week. Those were like things in the running. It's got to be Giant Size Criminal #1. I just love this world, these characters, Ed Brubaker's writing. And this is like a special treat of an issue just to kind of promote an upcoming show. And I look forward to the new graphic novel they come out with, because they don't usually, like I said, they don't do the issues so much no more. So whenever I can get my hands on some criminal, and I'm glad they're back writing criminal stories, I always I love them. So yeah, this is the clear winner for me this week of comics, December 3rd. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Another great episode. A lot of fun talking about comics. Look forward to next week, as always. And make sure to remember, at the end of this month, in between Christmas and New Year's, we will have our annual Comic Shop Talk Awards show with me and Chris, where we talk about some of our favorite things that we've read this year and a variety of different, awards that will be given out in terms of like highlighting certain books. So make sure to tune in for that. That'll be a lot of fun. And we'll give you guys a heads up before that week, whenever that comes out as well. But make sure to stay tuned. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Cheers.